I'm Kyle Hanan. I'm the world record holder in doing the most chemotherapy and still surviving. And we're about to do a cold plunge. This is part of what I do to prepare for chemos. Today is a brand new chemo. We're starting a new chemo. It's also a little difficult to start a new one. The last couple of months we were on a pretty rough chemo. Had a close call a couple of weeks ago, ended up in the hospital with multiple viruses and some complications. So we're switching to a new chemo. The difficulty of starting a new chemo sometimes, or the challenge is, your life changes. You don't know exactly what you're getting into after doing probably about approximately 220 chemo cycles and infusions and different chemotherapy, call them healing oils. That you learn that everybody's different in how they respond to the chemo, and depending on your cancer and how many chemos you've done, may or may not do something that you expect. So you kind of got to be ready. So I get myself in a zone that anything could happen when I start the new chemo. I kind of get a rough idea of what it might do. I'm kind of a little familiar with this class of medication. Most chemotherapy drugs, most people don't know, are derived from plants or from the ground, and they're actually natural. So all this movement that's anti-medication, anti-poison, chemo is poison, that's one of the first things I had to do, is take that right out of my mind and call it a healing oil. See that there's a lot of good in chemo, and it depends on your environment and your behaviors and how you take care of yourself and how that medication is utilized in your body. So we're going to get into cold plunge. We're going to start walking now. One of the reasons I do a cold plunge, or people ask me, they say, crazy, it feels so cold in Arizona. We, believe it or not, in the winter times, it's February now, it gets pretty cold at night. Last night I think we got down to 37 degrees. It's 44 degrees now. So I brought a thermometer for the water. I think the water is going to be right around that temperature as well. One of the reasons I do the cold plunge is to prepare myself for the chemo. It's something that you don't want to do. You don't want to go to chemo. It's really hard. Who wants to go to do some kind of medication or go to do something that they know that they're going to get sick from and may kill them or may cause them some day in your life? So I'm walking to the makes the walk here. When I walk back, I'm usually adapted to the coldness. Morning. So we hit the gym. I was up about 4:30 this morning and did weights for about an hour and a half and some cardio for 30. I usually like to get in here about 6 to do the cold plunge. There's something about actually jumping in when the sun's out that makes it a little harder. It kind of plays with your mind. The water's so cold, but it's kind of sunny outside. Workout was good this morning. Afterwards, got the kids ready, and we're going to do the chemo today probably about noon. We're going to get there about noon, so the whole process starts about noon. So this will be a good preparation. The hardest part is getting yourself up to do it. So I know as long as once I get my swim trunks on, when I wake up in the morning, then I know I've got it. I just gotta make the good swim trunks on. So again, my cheat is I hang out in the water a little bit, not too long for the first one, and I jump in the hot tub, hang out there for a little bit, and then I go back and forth a few times. Here we go. This is the second hardest part after getting the swim trunks on, is just jumping in. Feels good. Let the body adapt a little bit. Feels good on the muscles. beautiful day outside. Jump in the hot tub. Yep, nice and warm. Oh yeah! It's an awesome feeling. Your body is ice cold, so you feel like an ice cube immersed into a hot cup of coffee. It's definitely better than a cup of coffee and waking yourself up too. I was feeling a little foggy-headed this morning. Getting through the workout was a little tough. I was dragging a little bit. Some of it's from the cancer activity, just recovering from being in the hospital and viruses. And some of it, sometimes you just wake up and you're a little tired after the weekend. Today's a Monday. Had a great start today for the morning. When I wake up, the first thing I do is put my earbuds in and I listen to some audio scripture. And then usually I'll get up and get ready. I don't eat in the morning, make my drink, get everything together for the kids. Hit the gym and kind of start warming up a little bit. Do some postural breathing exercises, start getting my body moving, my heart rate up a little. And then I'll jump right into this morning I did a deadlift. I work out my whole body in my workouts. I found it for myself, and probably, my opinion, after many, many years of studying very deeply what grows the most muscle, adds the most strength to the body, is sometimes doing less. You think it's very easy to think that if you do a lot of workout, all right, here we go. First time I did it, I wasn't feeling too good, and I thought, oh man, what if I have a heart attack in there? Well, your heart rate doesn't go up too much. It's really just getting through some initial pain that hits your skin, but it's a nice feeling, in my opinion, on the muscles and bones. Not going too long today. Then right back into the water. It's awesome when you first get in. It feels like this water is cold because your body is still cold. And you get nice little tinglies. Now the warmness kicks in. You know, there's said to be a lot of benefits from doing not just cold plunges, but going back and forth between hot water and warm water. I know that in a lot of spots in Russia, I've met a lot of Russians that will do this sort of therapy. And I've seen before Fedor, the great mixed martial art fighter, he would spend time at the Russian saunas where he would go between the cold plunges and back into the hot saunas or the hot tubs. And they also use a kind of a tree, I forget what it's called, but when you're in the spa, they'll hit the muscles with it, kind of like a deep tissue massage. And it's said to boost recovery and the immune system. And sometimes the mind is the strongest thing for the immune system. Some of these things, this could all be placebo, but I'm convinced in my mind that this is working. it definitely, if anything, it's a nice discipline to complement the getting up for the chemos that I have to do. Like I said before, nobody wants to go do a chemo, but you're looking at the results afterwards. So when you go to exercise, or when you go to work, or you do something that you don't necessarily want to do, you're looking at the results afterwards. And it's always a nice feeling when you got to put in some effort, some uncomfortable effort, because comfort can't exist without uncomfortableness. So it's always nice to put in some good, healthy, uncomfortable effort, and then you can much more enjoy the comfort at the end of the day, and you'll be more rested and less stressed. That's another factor. You talk to oncologists and hematologists and patients that have been in the game. I've been at this for 7 years now, that have seen this day in and a day out, patient after patient. They'll tell you that stress is probably the number one opponent of battling cancer. So if you can find a way to reduce your stress or eliminate your stress, it's going to definitely give you some benefits. And that's one way that I've been able to get this record that I'm claiming as doing the most chemotherapy and still surviving, is learning how to increase my body's ability and my mind to reduce my stress, to reduce my heart rate. I'm always tracking my heart rate and tracking my heart rate variability and lots of things related to my heart and my body's performance and my oxygen, to see what works and what benefits the most. Because when I do the chemo, I am putting my body under additional stress, so it's very important that I learn ways to manage that back into the pool. Now it's no problem because the water is colder than it is outside. My body's adapted. Alright, let's see what we got. We're going to check the temperature of the water. Looks to be pretty close to the temperature outside right now, about 44 degrees. The water's 44 degrees, so maybe it's even a little colder once you get in the middle of the water, because outside, if it's 44, 45 degrees right now, it doesn't feel as cold as it is in the water. That so chlorine off my body. It feels like 75. This is the second cold plunge. Water's nice and icy. I'm gonna shower up and get all that chlorine off me. Alright, that's good. Alright, shower is done. Most important thing, earphones. Let's go just plug in the podcasts and everything. We got the performance watch. And we're off. So when I walk back, we got a nice little breeze going. Just a tad bit on the cold side, but not too bad. If I would have walked in like this, I would have been shivering, not able to talk even. Now it just feels, when I'm in the sun, it feels kind of warm. And I feel awesome. What a great way to start the day. Prepare for chemo, gets the mind right. Always feel better after a cold plunge. I just read a study that cold plunge was proven to be more effective in reducing pain than taking Tylenol medication. A lot of times we want to take the easy way out. So I believe that medicine or healing oil or whatever works for the mind to call it must be taken with respect and appropriately. So there is a need sometimes that we would want to reduce our pain with Tylenol, so we reduce our body's stress so we can heal better. But sometimes we also have the option, if we have a headache or we have some pain in our body, to use other methods. And the cold plunge can be an excellent method to reduce pain in the body. I found that to be true. All right, so let's get on to the day. I'll probably eat something and take a little bit of rest and do a little writing, reading, maybe another little walk before we head over to our chemo. Thanks for watching.